All stand and remain standing until the conclusion of the reading of the proclamation. Ladies and gentlemen, the proclamation. All persons having any business before this honorable court now draw nigh. Give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Thank you, Seated.
Admission of lawyers. Lee Lou Anderson.
May it please the court, I move that Lee Lou Anderson be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Lee Lou Anderson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jacinta Antoniazzi.
May it please the court, I move that Jacinta Antonazzi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jacinta Antonazzi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Shand Baghumian.
May it please the court, I move that Shad Bagumian be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Shant Baghumian be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Bikram Rik Singh Bhatti.
Please the court, I move that my son, Bikram Rik Singh Bhatti, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable.
Let Bikram Rik Singh Bhatti be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jessica Ruth Bird.
May it please the court, I move that my daughter, Jessica Ruth Bird, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jessica Ruth Bird be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Elizabeth Claire Chapman.
May it please the court, I move that my wife, Elizabeth Claire Chapman, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Elizabeth Claire Chapman be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
J.U. Chen.
May it please the court, I move that J. Mu Chen be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let J.U. Chen be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emma Lee Chung.
May it please the court, I move that Emma Lee Chung be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emma Lee Chung be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Melanie Jane Collins.
May it please the court, I move that Melanie Jane Collins be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Melanie Jane Collins be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Caleb Connolly.
May it please the court, I move that Caleb Connolly be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Caleb Connolly be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alexander Michael Cutting.
May it please the court, I move that Alexander Michael Cutting be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Alexander Michael Cutting be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Joshua Timothy Davis.
May it please the court, I move that Joshua Timothy Davies be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Joshua Timothy Davis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Daniel Dawes Jackson.
May it please the court, I move that Daniel Dawes Jackson be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Daniel Dawes Jackson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lawrence Andrew Del Gigante.
May it please the court, I move that my son, Lawrence Andrew Del Gigante, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Lawrence Andrew Del Gigante be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Maria Ku An Do.
May it please the court, I move that Maria Q. Ando be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Maria Q. Ando be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Julia Douglas Oliveira.
May it please the court, I move that Julia Douglas Oliveira be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Julia Douglas Oliveira be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jacqueline Ann Engelin.
May it please the court, I move that Jacqueline Ann Engelin be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jacqueline Ann Engelin be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Matthew Thomas Fernandez.
May it please the court, I move that Matthew Thomas Fernandez be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Matthew Thomas Fernandez be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rowan Charles Gibbs.
May it please the court, I move that Rowan Charles Gibbs be appointed as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Rowan Charles Gibbs be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Brent David Gosling.
May it please the court, I move that Brett David Gosling be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Brent David Gosling be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sean Declan Hawkins.
May it please the court, I move that my son, Sean Declan Hawkins, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sean Declan Hawkins be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Nora Hajazi.
May it please the court, I move that Nora Hujazi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Nora Hujazi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Michaela Ann Johnson.
May it please the court, I move that Michaela Ann Johnson be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Michaela Ann Johnson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sandy Curry.
May it please the court, I move that Sandy Curry be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sandy Curry be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emma Margaret Lewis.
May it please the court, I move that Emma Margaret Lewis be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emma Margaret Lewis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ji Yun Lu.
May it please the court, I move that Ji Yun Lu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ji Yun Lu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emily Rose McGee.
May it please the court, I move that Emily Rose McGee be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emily Rose McGee be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Francis Montero.
May it please the court, I move that Francis Montero be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Francis Montero be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Zachary Isaiah Musa.
May it please the court, I move that Zachary Isaiah Musa be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Zachary Isaiah Musa be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Cameron John Nichols.
May it please the court, I move that my son, Cameron John Nichols, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Cameron John Nichols be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Conrad James Victor George Nichols.
May it please the court, I move that Conrad James Victor George Nichols be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Conrad James Victor George Nichols be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ruby Lee Porter.
May it please the court, I move that Ruby Lee Porter be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ruby Lee Porter be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emily Beth Ramsey.
May it please the court, I move that my granddaughter, Emily Beth Ramsey, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emily Beth Ramsey be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Gurpreet Kaur Sandhu.
May it please the court, I move that Gurpreet Kaur Sandhu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Gurpreet Kaur Sandhu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Nicole Margarita Saraf.
May it please the court, I move that Nicole Margarita Saraf be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Nicole Margarita Saraf be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Taleb Selman.
May it please the court, I move that Taleb Salman be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Taleb Salman be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Kirsten Lisa Shields.
May it please the court, I move that Kirsten Lisa Shields be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Kirsten Lisa Shields be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sarah Slavnich.
May it please the court, I move that Sarah Slavnik be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sarah Slavnich be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Yan Sun.
May it please the court, I move that Yan Sun be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Yan Sun be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Michael David Thrower.
May it please the court, I move that Michael David Thrower be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Michael David Thrower be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tu Tan Tran.
May it please the court, I move that Thai Than Tran be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Thai Than Tran be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ezra Salaya Ulukan.
May it please the court, I move that Ezra Salaya Ulukan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ezra Salaya Ulukan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Malena Funsao.
May it please the court, I move that Malena Vensau be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Marlena Vansau be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Kirsty Ann Wright.
May it please the court, I move that Kirsty Ann Wright be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Kirsty Ann Wright be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Wei Zong.
May it please the court, I move that Wei Zong be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Wei Song be admitted as a lawyer of this court. And I think Miss McGee's original mover, may have missed his opportunity, so it's a personal occasion, and I'd invite you to remove Miss McGee's admission.
With leave of the court, Your Honour. May it please the court, I move that Emily Rose McGee be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Your motion has been noted, but she's already been admitted. Thank you. Now, I also admit this morning as lawyers of this court the following persons who have completed a special process for admission in absentia, and I'll read their names. They may well be online. Sarah Jane Aldersley, Olivia Gabriel Atkins, Rowan George Bauer, Debbie Frances Bayliss, Nada Ford, Ziwei Gao Zhao, Chun Yin Lok, Minting Luo, Betty McTashwa, Michael Tufik Hamid Nahum, Ashini Kusum Nilvashi Sitolu, Zipping Song, Inyindi Sun. It will now be necessary for the newly admitted lawyers whose admission has been moved this morning in court to stand and remain standing as directed for the purpose of swearing an oath or making a declaration or affirmation. So please stand as directed.
Could rows 1 and 2 to my right please stand? Lee Lou Anderson, Jacinta Antoniazzi, Shant Bagumian, Bikram Rick Singh Bhatti, Jessica Ruth Bird, Elizabeth Claire Chapman, Jai-Yu Chen, Emma Lee Chung, Melanie Jane Collins, Caleb Connolly, Alexander Michael Cutting, Joshua Timothy Davis, Daniel Dawes Jackson, Lawrence Andrew Delgiganti, Maria Q. On Doe. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"?
So help me God.
Thank you. Please sit down. And could rows 3 and 4 please stand? Julia Douglas Oliveira, Jacqueline Ann Engelin, Matthew Thomas Fernandez, Rowan Charles Gibbs, Brent David Gosling, Sean Declan Hawkins, Nora Hijazi, Michaela Ann Johnson, Sandy Curry, Emma Margaret Lewis, Ji Yun Liu, Emily Rose McGee, Francis Montero, Zachary Isaiah Musa, Cameron John Nichols, Conrad James Victor George Nichols, Ruby Lee Porter, Emily Beth Ramsey, Gurpreet Kaur Santu. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"?
I do.
Thank you. Please sit down. And both rows to my left, please stand up. Nicole Margarita Saraf, Talib Selman, Kirsten Lisa Shields, Sarah Slavnik, Yan Sun, Michael David Thrower, Tu Tan Ratran, Ezra Salaya Ulukan, Marlena Funsale, Kirsty Ann Wright, Wei Zong. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state, according to the best of your knowledge, skill, and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"? Okay, please sit down.
Well, may I warmly welcome you all to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today are to my right Justice Mitchelmore, who's a judge of the Court of Appeal and a judge of the court, and Justice Meek, who's a judge of the Equity Division of the court. Together, we constitute the court that has, in the exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you, the newly admitted lawyers, to practice this morning. We've done so here in the Banco court, which is not only the ceremonial court, but a working court of the Supreme Court, which sits on land for which the Gadigal of the Eora Nation have cared and been custodians for thousands of years, and the court pays its respects, as do I personally, to Gadigal elders past, present and emerging, and we extend that respect to all First Nations people. And in the spirit of the Uluru Statement of the Heart, which looks forward to a fuller expression of Australia's nationhood with great dignity, we acknowledge a regrettable reality that this nation's laws and legal systems have so often in the past delivered the opposite of justice to First Nations peoples. Well, to all of the newly admitted lawyers here today, welcome to the legal profession. Congratulations, today is a day for much well-earned celebration. You've all worked, we know, extremely hard to get here, countless late nights of study, obscure problem questions, exams, textbooks, online, more cases than you can hope to remember. And for most of you, your journey has been undertaken in these extraordinarily challenging last 2 years affected by the pandemic. You have faced and overcome the ordinary challenges to being admitted to practice with the additional adversity of a pandemic unprecedented in our lifetimes. And that makes your achievement this morning all the more impressive, and the resilience you have no doubt developed over the last 2 years will stand you in good stead. In being admitted as a lawyer of this court, you join a profession with very ancient origins. The custom followed today of swearing an oath or making an affirmation on admission to practice dates back to the 12th century, and this court first admitted lawyers in 1824. By 1830, the names of lawyers were entered onto the rolls in the state, as you will do immediately after this ceremony. And so you've thus become part of the tradition in this place almost 200 years after it commenced. Now, I know for some of you, or perhaps for your family and friends, that will be how long it seems you've been studying, but well done, you have arrived. On that note, let me also welcome those with you today in court or watching on the live stream. The ceremony is streamed so that those who can't be here can also participate in it. For many of you, the support of your family and friends, we know, will have been invaluable, and no doubt they will have been on the receiving end of your developing skills of argument and persuasion. And I encourage you to take time to thank your supporters today. Depending on how good an advocate you have become, you might even convince them to shout you lunch or dinner, or you could even do that yourself for them. The law touches every part of our society, and it can and will lead you all in many different directions and career paths. But in whatever direction you head, you must always remember the oath or affirmation you have just made is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, for legal aid, in a Crown Law Office, a government department or agency, or in an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice. And you must strive at all times to uphold these cardinal values, because admission as a member of the legal profession is a privilege and it's not a right. And it's in acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe the particular and unique formalities we have followed today, including the fact that your admissions have been moved by people who are already members of the profession, and by the fact that you have all sworn an oath or made an affirmation in the presence of not only each other, but of your peers and family and of the court. We are all witnesses to the promises and undertakings you have made today by your oath or affirmation. As to formality, you will see from the portraits, some of the portraits on the walls of former Chief Justices, that we are wearing, in some cases literally, the same robes as have been worn by our predecessors. Symbolically, that is actually quite important. It highlights the continuity of the rule of law in New South Wales, and in a world in which there is much global uncertainty and insecurity, the rule of law is more important than ever. And it's not simply a phrase of some theoretical import. It is the opposite of the arbitrary abuse of power and the rule of autocratic dictators and populists. And we know from recent history that there is nothing theoretical about those risks. Although we mark this morning's occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. So during COVID, we had a rapid shift to increasing use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure that access to justice and the work of the courts continued through the midst of the pandemic. We faced challenges in terms of open justice and the like, but we got through it, and the new opportunities have presented themselves, including greater workplace flexibility in the practice of law, which is especially important for lawyers with family responsibilities. Better use of technology also has had profound implications for the reach of the law and for how our legal system interacts with and may become more accessible to many people. Although the increased use of technology offers a number of advantages, the practice of law has human nature and human interaction at its core. And an essential part of being a good lawyer is understanding people, how others react to different situations, how they perform under pressure and deal with each other. And as I said in my recent swearing-in speech as Chief Justice, whilst the remote practice of the law may be possible, it is far from desirable. It is good to be able to have these ceremonies in person, just as it is good for cases to be heard in open court, where the court is open to all and justice is not only done but is being seen literally to be done by real people with real clients, with real clients, real people in adversity, and dealt with by not just an image on a screen, but somebody who is conscientiously trying to reach the right result. There are, of course, other changes in the legal profession which deserve attention in addition to those brought about by the pandemic. When we think of diversity of the legal profession, we have a duality. We have come a long way, in fact, in recent decades, but much still needs to be done. For example, although women were originally not even permitted to be admitted to practice until some deep way into the last century, women have made up more than half of all solicitors, make up more than half of all solicitors with a practicing certificate in New South Wales, and 2/3 of solicitors under the age of 30 are women. And some of the most senior judicial posts in the country are also held by women, including the Chief Justice of the High Court of Australia, the President of our Court of Appeal, and of course our Governor, the Honourable Margaret Beazley, was formerly the President of the New South Wales Court of Appeal. The state and Commonwealth Directors of Public Prosecutions are also very talented female silks. So there's been great movement there. And there should also be diversity of representation, not just in terms of gender, but in terms of people from different backgrounds. Diverse representation amongst solicitors, advocates and judges assists in ensuring that all people who become involved in our justice system can and feel that they can be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of the broader community. The admissions ceremonies on which I have sat since becoming a judge some 3.5 years ago, including this ceremony, highlight that there is a far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than when I commenced practice, and that is a very good thing indeed. Can I urge you, when you enter practice, not only to become engaged in the day-to-day practice, but to engage with the community outside the day-to-day rigours of practice. Your training as a lawyer in systematic thought, the importance of all matters of principle and fundamental fairness, including due process and natural justice, equip you all very well for service beyond day-to-day practice, and you'll derive great satisfaction from such engagement. Turning from opportunities to obligations and a little bit of friendly advice. As a lawyer, you will often have to make difficult ethical decisions. You must use the tools you have developed in your study to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court and the administration of justice. One mistake you must not make is to give your clients the advice you think that they want to hear. That will not be good advice. Justice Gageler, before he was a High Court judge, said this, and I quote, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur." That is, I think, very good advice, as you would expect from such a great judge. Being a lawyer means that you are an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum or as abstract concepts, but law as it applies to people's lives. An individual in need of your services as a lawyer is in most cases an individual facing some kind of great personal challenge or crisis affecting his or her liberty, property, personal well-being, health, financial position, or family. For these reasons, you must always strive to deliver legal services sensitively, competently, and fearlessly, but always with courtesy and integrity and respect. In this context, I wish to emphasise the importance of civility. Aspects of the law, especially if you're involved in litigation, are confrontational. The practice of the law can be stressful and demanding enough without personal animosity and antagonism between practitioners adding to the load. And it's essential, can I suggest, that you maintain your detachment, balance and good humour, remembering at all times that you are members of a profession and not a business. I appreciate that that's not always easy to do, but you must remind yourself of what I've said. Stay detached, stay calm, stay balanced, and with a good humour. And remember this also in your practice. The best advocates can and do make their points simply and succinctly. Often, less is more. Some of the most experienced lawyers and judges, indeed, could use that reminder from time to time, and I don't exclude myself from that. For a non-lawyer, law is often, indeed frequently, incomprehensible, and one of your roles as a lawyer is to make the law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. Strive to be clear and concise at all times in both your writing and your oral advice. Let me also mention briefly failure. There will inevitably be quite a few overachievers and perfectionists in the room today. Even so, at various points of your career, you will make mistakes. We all do, some minor, some more serious. The important thing is try not to make the same mistake twice, and when you do make a mistake, your commitment to honesty, integrity, and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can, and learn from those errors. Your physical and mental health are also both extremely important as you go about your day-to-day practice. There may be, and I dare say will be, times when you feel overwhelmed, burned out, or distressed. Legal practice is demanding. It can be all-consuming and physically and mentally taxing. You must work hard to keep your balance and keep your eye out to ensure that your colleagues do as well. If you do get overwhelmed by it all, as frankly we all have and do from time to time, try to take a step back, recapture some perspective, or suggest gently to your colleagues that they ought to do something along those lines. In this context, remember this though, that the law is a highly collegiate profession, and in terms of difficulty, the support and friendship of your peers will prove invaluable. You should also be aware that both the Law Society for Solicitors and the Bar Association for Barristers are institutions which are keenly attuned to the demands and pressures of practice and are a great source of institutional support. Can I say this to you all in closing? The law is a wonderful profession. It is stimulating, it is challenging, it is satisfying, and it is populated by intelligent, committed, and dynamic people such as yourselves. You should be proud to be a lawyer and of your achievements to date. You should remain proud to be a lawyer. It is a very important profession. It does very important work. And a legal career is one that can take you in many different directions, all of which are interesting and rewarding. So hold your heads high and the very best of luck in the exciting journey that lies ahead. On behalf of Justice Mitchmore, Justice Meek, and indeed all of the judges of the Supreme Court, I once again congratulate you all on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. The court will now adjourn.
All stand. This honourable court is now adjourned. God save the Queen.